Alrighty. So this is the fourth week of studying Satya, which is truthfulness. So Satya asks us to be so strong that we can stay with the truth no matter how unpleasant it is. Um, there are a lot of people who try to sugarcoat their reality or run through the truth. And I think of, I'm I hate to say this, but I think of them as the smiley people. They're the people who always say everything is wonderful and act like everything's wonderful. And sometimes I look at their lives and I'm like, how is everything so perfect? Which is, I shouldn't really be wondering. But a lot of times you find out that what they're presenting is really not the truth at all. And that explains why. Um, and and so truth can be really hard. And another example of this type of thing where people who can't stay with the truth that popped in my head as I was thinking about this were, we call it around here the kickapoo switcheroo, the people who, they'll in a relationship, and then when the going gets tough, they dump that one and hop into another one, and it's all beautiful and lovely and it just seems perfect, and then it gets really hard and they drop that one and they hop into another relationship. um, these are people who run from the truth, and it doesn't serve the reality because they don't learn to be present with what's going on, and they seem to make the same mistake over and over by not dealing with the issues at hand. um because they people bail when the going gets tough. So think of people who might seem unsubstantial to you, people that you think of who are maybe like playing an angle. um it kind of goes along with the perfect people, but people who don't seem, um they don't seem real. Insubstantial, real, that covers it really well. um And then think of people that you think of as congruent, solid, present, honest. There is an integrity to them, and we want to aspire to be these people. So when Deb Adele was writing about this in the Yamas and the Niyamas, she used an example about giving her partner a hug one day and telling her partner, "Oh, you feel thick." And she said, and Anne stepped back looking aghast. Well, I know Anne and I've hugged Anne, and I know exactly what she means because Anne is truly one of the most solid people I've ever met. I have seen her deal with unbelievably difficult situations and not back down from them and be present, but be kind and be loving. And it's a little unbelievable to witness somebody who is that present. And so Anne's hugs, we used to joke about it. I haven't had one of her hugs for a couple of years. They are the best hugs. And when I read Deb saying that about her, that I understood why, because of who she is and what her nature is like. Um, our culture is a culture that seems to really be afraid of the truth. And I'm talking about particularly in America in our society. And not only that, we're a culture that lies behind lies. Um, a really easy example to drop into is, um, politics for the last 4 years and the lies that Trump just says all the time, and that Fox News and the media, that type of media, spreads as if it was the truth, and they make up more lies and spread it. And all the people who are willing to just suck in those lies and take them and not try to seek any deeper truth, not try to go beyond that. But there's a lot of other ways that our culture lies. It lies about how we have to look. It lies about what success is. It lies. I would say that one of the greatest gifts about leaving the United States and traveling in other countries is to see how a lot of these other countries are not like this. Very, very different from this. Um, I mean, there's commercialism everywhere, materialism everywhere, but ours is unique. And when you really get into in-depth conversations of people who live in other cultures and other parts of the world, they comment on it and notice it too. So it's unique to us. Now, when we think of when I was thinking on this topic about being afraid of the truth and hiding behind lies, I came up with a really good example in my head. Um, for all the time that I was a vegetarian, I knew that all those little boy calves that they didn't need for dairy, unless they were exceptional creatures, I knew were either being raised as veal or were being raised large and being slaughtered. And I understood the conditions that cows went through when they were being raised, being forced to lactate. Unbel- we use up cows within 4 to 5 years, and their natural life cycle would be 25 years. Um, and then we butcher them. So, as a vegetarian, you think you like to feel that you're being kind and compassionate and loving and making this loving choice for the world by not eating meat. But the reality is, you're not being very congruent because you try to hide behind that and not face that. And so, and I did not want to become vegan because I thought it was too hard. I fought the whole way, yelling, screaming. No, I didn't really yell and scream, but I did fight it, and I kind of argued with somebody about it. But when I took that step of facing the truth of what was going on, my whole life felt so much better and so much more free because then I was congruent, because I was facing the truth, I was facing the reality. And by doing so, it made it so much easier and I felt more settled inside. So that was just an example of how that could be. Um, in Gandhi's autobiography, he says his life is an experiment with truth and not violence. He didn't say it, not violence. He said his life is an experiment with truth. But that's interesting because we all think of him as perpetuating um, the pacifism. We think of him as being the shining beacon of nonviolence in the world. But he felt his experiment with truth was the most important. And I think that this really does show the power of truth, because if we look at what he did in the world, liberating India, this very, very poor country, from one of the most powerful nations in the world at that time, that that was an exercise in truth as he saw it, of saying what was going on, saying this is the reality, speaking the truth of what they wanted in their country, and refusing to accept anything else, all kindly and with compassion and without any violence. There was no war. They destroyed the regime with nonviolence, um, by speaking their truth. So, truth is very powerful. So, this week, the experiment, if you want to try it, is to look at ideas and beliefs that once served you and now have become archaic. You may unknowingly be holding on to things that you no longer need. Honor these beliefs because, like a vehicle, they brought you to your current place on your journey. As you let go of what no longer serves you, pay attention to where denial shows up and celebrate your movement towards a clearer, more authentic you. Watch how this exercise frees up your energy for the further emergence of your authentic realness. And this experiment is actually really well timed because we're on the cusp of the new year. So we can explore what things we've been holding on to in the old year, maybe even write them down, and on New Year's Eve, burn them and start exploring what's new. Next week, we're going to start studying Asteya, which is non-stealing. So that's a really good one too. All right, so with that, we shall begin. So if you would please, I'm going to invite you to start on the mat, lying down on your backs, nice and long if you're able. And then starting, if you would please, up at the top of the head, down, down, down to the tips of your toes. Just check in with each part of your body. Notice how you're lying on the mat, resting there. Notice what parts are tight, what parts are loose. If you're sitting evenly or unevenly, maybe you'll notice that one shoulder is lifted off the ground a bit and the other one is resting easily on the floor. Notice these areas with curiosity. And try to remember them so we can check back in later and notice any shifts or changes in the body. And then let's begin by exhaling all the breath inside. Really squeezing out as much air as we possibly can. And then through our nostrils, start inhaling, allowing the belly area to gently float up. And then the rib cage to grow nice and wide. The bottom, and then floating up to the top of the rib cage, just like opening up that big umbrella. And then exhaling, allowing all of that air to release. Long, slow, deep, wide breaths throughout the whole torso. Trying as usual to see if we can make the exhalation a little bit longer than the inhalation. Remembering that if this is a challenge, 2 ways to approach this is to maybe make the inhalation a bit shorter and the exhalation a bit longer, or possibly just taking a pause at the top of the inhalation. And please try to return to this breathing pattern anytime in the practice when you have an opportunity to lie there quietly and focus on it. And then bringing your feet one at a time, slowly onto the mat. Knees up in the air. Position the feet far enough away from the body that the very top back of the calves and the very tip-top back of the thighs are barely touching, like cards stacked together. And from this position, arrange the feet so they're hip width apart. And then check to see the weight distribution on the soles of the feet. If they're evenly placed between the heels and the balls of the feet. And then notice the knees. If they're dropping in at all, the feet might be a little too wide apart. See how adjusting that helps. If they're dropping out, see if maybe the feet are too close together. Bring them a little bit further apart. And from here, we'll begin that arch and flattening motion. Let's begin by taking those hips and rolling them forward towards the feet, and then down towards the mat so that the tailbone comes in greater contact with the mat, creating that beautiful little arch in the lower part of the spine, and then releasing from that, allowing the back to come back into neutral. And then rolling those hips in the opposite direction, as if you're trying to roll them up towards the torso, as if you're trying to draw that tailbone up between the legs. And you'll actually feel part of your bum roll up off the ground with this as the whole back presses down onto that mat. Releasing back to neutral. And repeating this slow, gentle, rolling motion of arches and flattens in the body. And then let's increase this motion a little bit in the body. So the next time you go into that arch, allow that arch to extend up the spine by pressing the backs of the shoulders gently down onto the mat. And then slowly allowing that to release. And then as you flatten, allowing the fronts of the shoulders to float up towards the ceiling above. So you get a little curl in the front of your body. You might feel your head roll back and forth a little bit with this motion as well, and that's okay. We don't need to try to hold the head quiet. And then just hug your knees to your chest and roll your back out a bit and allow the body to grow long. And then do another little soma scan to notice any changes that may have occurred in your body. So we're going to be focusing more on the pelvis today, a little bit of the psoas, mostly the pelvis. So we're going to do a little myofascial for that. Now, yesterday when I was playing with this again, I needed to work in two very different areas. So when we do this, we're going to lie face down with the ball just to the inside of the pelvic bones. So what we think of is putting our hands on top of our hips. It's really putting our hands on top of the pelvis. So if you think of where you're going to put the ball, it can be on my body. I have very high bones. My bones come all the way up here. But it would be somewhere inside this region. Okay? So as we do it, you want to pick one side to start with, the right or the left side. So when you come down onto the ball, I like to come down onto it. You're going to have your knee bent out to the side as you lie there. So I came down onto an arm and onto my left side, and I kind of propped myself up on my right knee, and I put that ball underneath, and I kind of rolled it around with my hand just a little bit until I found that perfect spot. Now, on one side of my body, it was all the way down here. And on the other side of my body, it was up there. But it was, for me, it just felt like the place that had the most sensation. I actually went, ooh, when I found the spot. So I want you to lie down when you find that spot with your knee propped out where it's comfortable and get just settled in with your hands in the back of your head, or if you need a little pillow underneath your arms or your armpits to make yourself comfortable, go ahead and do that. Find your perfect little spot. We're going to just lie here quietly, allowing that side to release. Noticing that sensation. Now for me, I sometimes find a spot that feels like really sharp. You could say it hurts, but it doesn't really hurt. It just feels like I pay attention to it. And then when that sensation starts to leave, as my body melts down over the ball, I find that I'm able to relax more of my body down. I'll find muscles, I'll start looking for other muscles that I'm holding in tension and begin to release those. And as I release them, I can actually feel that area where it was sharp release more completely. So the more you can allow yourself to melt into that ball, the more your body will feel released. We have about a half a minute left here. Of course, if you feel that you need to come up sooner, please always listen to the truth of your body and what it's asking of you. And now kind of gently push through the knee that's out to the side and roll a little bit over so you can remove the ball. Then let your legs grow long so you'll be in a little bit of a crocodile. Seeing if you can tell the difference in how your body feels from one side to the other here. And then drawing the other knee up and out on the side of your body a bit to support you. Bring the ball to the other side within the pelvic bone and move around on it to find the area that makes you pay attention and say, aha. When you find that spot, settle in on it. Might feel very sharp, really drawing your attention. We don't want true pain. And then let's relax into this position. Again, let's try to do that long, slow, gentle umbrella breathing here as well. That full yogic breath. Every exhalation can release more tension from the body. And again, once you start feeling, noticing that release, see if there's any way you can make the surrounding muscles or any other muscles in your body that you hold tension in relax to allow the fascia to release more. Again, about a half a minute left. If your body's asking you to come out now, please do so. All right, we can bring that ball out from underneath and gently roll over onto your back. And do another soma scan from the top of the head down to the soles of the feet. Check in with what's happening. So the next piece that we're going to work on before we begin, we're going to do the butterfly lift. Just to check which side of the pelvis might be weaker or stronger or out of balance, because we're going to work on the pelvic symmetry sequence today. So if you remember, your feet should meet together on the floor. And if they're touching on the insides of the feet, the knees will be touching as well. And then you're going to allow them just to open all the way up out towards the side so the soles of the feet lightly touch each other. And we don't want to move super fast or anything, but pick which leg you'd like to work with first. And then please just slowly float that leg up. Is it easy? Is it hard? Do you feel a lot of wiggles? Got a little rocking there. And once you get that knee all the way up, your feet won't be touching because that sole of the knee that's up in the air will have rolled back down towards the floor. And then you're going to allow that knee to come back out. Noticing how much work, how much effort, how wobbly you feel. And then repeat on the other side. Really sensing and comparing the amount of effort, the amount of work, the wobbliness from this side to the other. Again, once you get all the way up to the top, bring it back down. So now you should probably have a sense of how it feels inside with each leg separately moving. Which side feels like it's stronger and more solid, and which side Doesn't feel maybe that way as much. Maybe it's a little guarded and more protected. And then one time lift both the knees all the way up, noticing how they work together. And then let them slowly come back down. And then bring the legs long for just a moment. Maybe hug your knees to your chest if you need to. That was a lot of work in the pelvis. A lot of pressure back on the sacrum. Then allow those legs to grow nice and long. Again, seeing how they feel. And both your legs back up into easy resting pose. We're going to do a washcloth. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it. We just want to get that work into the body a bit before we begin the pelvic symmetry sequence. So right palm up, left palm down. Let's begin rolling the arms in the shoulder sockets. So that one palm is up when the other palm is down. Whole arm is rotating back and forth on those shoulders. And then let the arms grow quiet. With the feet on the floor, let's drop both the knees over to the left. And you'll notice that your right bum cheek probably is coming up off the ground with that twist, and that's fine. Lift both the knees up. And let them swing over and drop towards that other side, to the right. Bring them back up. And let them drop over to the left again. And then come back up. This time, right palm up, left palm down. With arms out to the sides as far up as they can be. Allow that head to roll over to the right side so it's gazing at the hand. Now, as we rotate it so the right palm comes down, the left palm comes up, we want to also rotate our head simultaneously so that our head rolls gazing towards that left palm. And we want to roll our arms and our heads simultaneously so that the head is always turned towards the palm that's open to the sky. Rotating back and forth. And then let's bring that right palm up, left palm down, head rotated towards the right, and knees drop towards the left. So as we rotate the hands and the head, the knees at the same time are rolling and dropping out to the other side. Just wringing the body out a few times. And let's just hug those knees back up to the chest and roll the backs out. Now, we're going to do the pelvic symmetry sequence. This is going to be a lot of work in the body today because we're going to do it this time. We've done it before, we've only done it once, I believe. It's really supposed to be repeated 3 or 4 times. And we're going to do that today. And so I want to give you a little bit of instruction before we begin. If you remember, with the pelvic symmetry sequence, we first are in that reclined butterfly. So we just did that butterfly lift. We're going to be in reclined butterfly. So you will definitely want 2 bolsters, well, maybe not, but you'll probably want 2 bolsters or 2 pillows or 2 rolled up blankets. So figure out what you need first to be in that butterfly with the the soles of the feet towards each other and the knees out on the bolster so they can rest and relax. So figure out what prop you need, how high it needs to be, and get that figured out first in your body. We're going to be in this position for 2 minutes each time. So that's why we want to figure it out. If it seems higher now, but after the 3rd repetition, you could take a layer of the blankets off to make the knees go open a little wider. Go ahead and do that. So part 1 in this sequence, we're going to be lying in this position. Then we're going to take those bolsters out. And once we take those bolsters out, we're going to press through the sides of the feet, if you remember. So I'm going to press down on the floor and I'm going to float my bottom up into the air. Now, if that causes back pain, what I'm going to ask for you to do is press through the feet. Your knees may come up and engage the muscles as if you're lifting your bum off the ground, but don't actually lift it. And I just want you to try it. Even if you think you can do it the full way, I want you to try it because I want you to feel how much work there is there, because maybe by the end you'll want to switch to it, okay? So putting the soles of the feet together in butterfly, pressing through the sides of the feet, float the bum up in the air, and then let the bum float back down. And then this time, pressing through the sides of the feet, engage the muscles all to lift up. You'll feel those knees come up, and you're not actually lifting off. It's gentle around the body, but it's a lot less work while it's still working hard, okay? We're going to be doing that, matching it with the breath, which I will cue you on. Then from there, we're going to roll the soles of the feet so they're down, facing down on the ground, knees are up in the air. And here we're going to do knee presses. So we're going to press the knees towards each other on the exhale and relax on the inhale. And they're not going to be very far apart because the sides of the feet are touching. And the final position that we're going to do is we're going to do some bridges. So we're going to bring our feet back out to a hip width apart. And on the exhalation, we're going to lift up into the air for the bridge. And on the inhalation, come back down to the ground. Now again, it's going to be a lot of work the way we're doing this. And so if it's feeling like it's too much work in your body, again, I want you to see what it's like. You can press through the soles of the feet and you can engage those muscles like you're starting to lift without actually coming up off the ground. And it's really good work in the body. Sometimes in my own personal practice, I do those lower loads a lot because I start finding I work with muscles in a different way or I notice new things. So I find it a really adequate way to work. All right. So with that, making sure everything is nearby and ready, we will begin. So if you would please take your props of choice and put them under your knees with the soles of the feet together, knees spread apart, in reclined butterfly. So soles of the feet are together, knees have fallen apart and are resting on your props. Now, as I said before, we'll be here gently for 2 minutes. If you find that you need to come out of this, if it's too much, go ahead and lift your knees back up and let them gently rest against each other. But otherwise, just allow your body to release and relax as much as you can. Try to pay attention to how this feels in your body to see if you can notice any changes the next time we come back into this position. Try doing that nice full yogic breath, that umbrella breath from the belly up into the lower rib cage, up through the upper rib cage. And then remove the props, just slide them out to the right and the left from underneath the knees. And then inhale. And as you begin to exhale, push the outer edges of the feet down into the floor, lifting the pelvis up towards the sky or engaging the muscles as if you are. And once you reach that limit and that exhalation is complete, inhale and slowly lower the pelvis back down to the ground. And exhale, pressing through the sides of the feet. Floating that bum back up into the air. And inhaling, allow yourself to come back down. And one last time, exhaling, pressing through the sides of the feet, floating the bum up or engaging the muscles as if you are. And inhaling, come back down to the ground. And bring the knees back up in the air. Feet are still together, the sides of the feet are together, not the soles, the sides. Inhale. And exhale. Press the knees in towards each other gently. And inhaling, release that press. Exhaling, pressing those knees in together. Inhaling, release that press. Exhaling, pressing the knees together. I'm sorry. And inhaling, release the press. I'm very sorry. You just let your legs grow long for a minute if you want to while I stop coughing. All right, let's try again. I have to be honest, I can't remember if I just finished with the knee press or a bridge pose. So Mark, or maybe one of you could unmute yourselves and tell me what we just finished so we can go on. Mark, could you tell me if we just did the knee press or if we did the bridge?
I'm sorry, I had trouble unmuting. We did the knee press.
Thank you. I'm really sorry. I got an inhaler for my asthma yesterday. As you can see, it doesn't work that well because I took it right before class. So I'll have to deal with that. I got it to help me with class so I wouldn't be doing this. So I'm really sorry about that. All right. I'm sorry. The last part of the sequence is the bridge. So let's bring our feet a hip distance apart and under the knees. And we're going to lift up into the bridge as we exhale. And then lower back down on the inhale. And exhaling, lift up into the bridge. And inhaling, come back down. Remember that you can always press through the feet, engaging as if you're lifting the bum up off the ground, but you don't actually have to do so. So one last time, we're going to exhale, press through the feet, and lift the bum off the ground, or engage the muscles as if we're lifting off the ground. And then inhaling and release from the bridge. Now, get your two props, your bolsters or your blankets. Come back down into a reclined butterfly with the soles of the feet together and the knees opened, resting on your props. Will I hear? We have about 30 seconds left, so if you need to come out, feel free. And then sliding the props out from underneath the knees. Again, take a nice deep inhalation and exhaling, push the outside edges of the feet into the floor, lifting the pelvis up in the air or engaging the muscles as if you are. And inhaling, lower that pelvis back down. And exhaling, pressing through, lifting the bum back up in the air. Inhaling, release, and bring the bum back down to the ground. And again, one last time, exhaling, Pressing through the outer edge of the feet, floating that bum up off the ground. And inhaling, releasing back down. Now lifting those knees back up towards each other, sides of the feet together. Inhale. And exhaling, press those knees gently together. Inhaling, allow them to come apart. Exhaling, gently pressing the knees together. Inhaling, allowing the knees to just release from the pressing together. And again, exhaling, press the knees together. And inhaling, release from this press. Bringing the feet to hip width apart. Again, inhale and exhaling. Allow the bum to float up off the ground into a small bridge. And inhaling, allow the bum to float back down. Exhaling, lift that bum up off the ground into a small bridge. And inhaling, bring the bum back down. And again, exhaling, float that bum up off the ground. And inhaling, bring it back down. Now once again, we're going to bring the soles of the feet towards each other into a reclined butterfly again, with the knees dropping apart onto our props to get the props back underneath the knees. And get settled back in. Now you may find after all of this work that maybe one knee rested higher than the other one before, and maybe now they're even. Or you may feel that actually you have more spaciousness in the hip area, and you might not need as much props. You might need a lower level. You might have been tucked in tighter before, and they might be out further now. Just notice any shifts or changes as you lie here. We've got about 30 seconds left. If your body is asking you to release, please feel free to come out. And then go ahead and pull those props out from underneath the knees, keeping the soles of the feet together. And then we'll do the butterfly lift 3 more times. So again, starting with an inhalation, pushing the outside edge of your feet into the floor. Exhale as you lift and float that bum and that pelvis up towards the sky, or at least engage the muscles as if you are. And inhaling, Come back down to the floor. And exhaling again. Float the bum back up as you press the sides of the feet into the floor. And inhaling, float back down to the ground. And once again, pressing through the outer soles of the feet. Float the bum back up into the sky. Pressing through the edges of the feet. And inhaling, lower that bum back down to the ground. And then roll the soles of the feet onto the mat, allowing the knees to come back up in the air. Inhale. And exhaling, press those knees together gently. Don't want to work too hard, but we want to feel that resistance. And inhaling, allow the resistance to end. And the knees to release from pressing. You don't have to open the knees up apart, just release the pressure. And exhaling, press those knees back together gently. Inhaling, release that pressure. Exhaling, press the knees back together. Inhaling, release the knees. And again, let's move the feet now a hip width apart in distance into easy resting pose. And have those knees a little more stacked underneath the feet, a little more stacked underneath the knees maybe. But gently exhale as you lift that bum gently up into the air. And inhale, bringing the bum back down. Exhaling, pressing through the feet, floating the bum back up into the air. Inhaling, bringing it back down to the ground. Once again, exhaling, lifting the bum up into the air. Inhaling, bringing it back down to the ground. Then rolling the back out by hugging the knees to the chest. Bring the legs long on the ground for a moment. Noticing any shifts and changes. Okay, one more time, we're going to revisit the butterfly lift and see if you might notice any slight shifts or changes in the movement. We obviously haven't strengthened the pelvis, but we may have helped it to be a little more even. So bringing the soles of the feet together, no props this time, knees open in butterfly. Start with whatever leg you want, but lift it up with control, noticing how it moves. And when it gets to the top, allow it to come back down. And then repeat on the other side. Maybe you found a change there. And then with that, I would ask you to bring your left foot, sole down onto the ground with the knee in the air, right leg long. Gently press through the left foot and the right heel at the same time, lifting that left hip off the ground and tipping and rolling the pelvis and the body over to the right. So you land on your right side and push yourself back upright into a seated position, hopefully on a blanket or a pillow to prop your bum up in the air. And we're going to do the Kali Mudra once again. And we're going to do this for 2 minutes. So again, remember, as we do this, to silently chant to yourself. Fingers are either pointed straight forward or up towards the chest. If you've been doing it one way, I would encourage you to try it the other way and see how it feels. And just repeat quietly to yourself, either Sat Nam or the English translation of that, my name is truth. All right, let's release from that. Now, today I'm going to ask you when we go into our final relaxation not to do constructive resting pose. I'm going to ask you to have your legs long and prop your knees, because after all that work we did in the pelvis, I really want your body to have time to integrate that. And so you don't stand up and feel like a wobbly newborn little foal, and instead be stronger. So maybe cover with a blanket. If you have an eye mask, put it on. Pillow under the head, get all comfortable. Since we're talking about truthfulness and stepping into what is really around us in our lives, I wanted to share a poem with you today as you lie here called Let It Go by Dana Falds. Let go of the ways you thought life would unfold, the holding of plans or dreams or expectations. Let it all go. Save your strength to swim with the tide. The choice to fight what is here before you now will only result in struggle, fear, and desperate attempts to flee from the very energy you long for. Let go. Let it all go and flow with the grace that washes through your days, whether you received it gently or with all your quills raised to defend against invaders. Take this on faith. The mind may never find the explanations that it seeks, but you will move forward nonetheless. Let go, and the wave's crest will carry you to unknown shores beyond your wildest dreams or destination. Let it all go and find the place of rest and peace and certain transformation. Allow your attention to be on the smooth flow, serene flow of the breath. The exhalation is cleansing and relaxing, and the inhalation is nourishing and energizing. Turn your attention inward. Mentally scan your body from head to toe and back again, pausing briefly to become aware of each area and release any tension you feel there. Go slowly. Sometimes these tensions begin to feel normal and we don't always recognize what we're holding on to. When you discover tension, imagine sending the breath to that particular part of the body and unknotting and unwinding that little piece of tension. Honor your areas that need a little extra healing. Pause on certain body parts a bit longer if you have any pain, limitation, or emotional injury. Remembering that this is a practice for the body, mind, and spirit. Clear your mind of the past and the future, and when it wanders, simply bring it back to the breath. Let the whole body be soft, heavy, and easy. Let it feel like you're melting into the earth below. Relax everywhere. Let your eyes fall backwards away from the eyelids and your tongue to lightly rest in the mouth. With each exhalation, feel the tension leaving your body, releasing all the body's toxins, wastes, and negative energy. Make your inhalation deep, soothing, and peaceful. Feel that peace inside and around your body. Relax the crown of the head and the brain, allowing both sides of your head to release to the floor. Relax your forehead, eyebrows, eyes, eye sockets, and the space between the eyebrows, your cheeks and chin. Soften the temples and the jaw and your neck and your throat center. Relax the shoulder joints to the elbows, to the wrists and the fingertips. Feel the energy in the palms of your hands. Let the movement of your breathing loosen the shoulder blades, mid-back to lower back. Let all the wide muscles of the back release to the ground completely. Let go over and over again through the breath. Soften the heart center, the rib cage, the abdominal organs, and the pelvis. Feel the life force, the prana, entering your consciousness with a long, slow, deep inhale. Soften the hips in and around the hip sockets. Then breathe all the way down the thighs, knees, calves, ankles, feet, toes, tips of the toes, and the sides of your feet. Continue releasing with your breath until you're wide open like the heavens. Exhale as though you're breathing from the top of the head down to the tips of the toes. And inhale as though you're breathing from the tips of the toes up to the top of the head. Wiggling the toes and the fingers. Rolling the hands on the wrists and the feet on the ankles. Let your arms and legs stretch and move however they need to. And hug the knees to your chest and roll your back out. And then stretching nice and long any way you need to again. Bring the sole of the right foot onto the floor with the knee in the air. Left leg long. Pressing through that right foot and left heel. Lift that right hip up into the air, rolling the body over onto the left side. And just lie here curled up with your head propped on your arm for a little bit. And then pushing yourself back upright into a seated position again. May all beings find happiness. May all be free of a disease. May all see what is auspicious, and may no one suffer. May you be at peace. May your heart remain open. May you awaken to the light of your own true nature. May you be healed, and may you be a source of healing for all beings. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Thanks for being with me today. Sorry for that coughing.